They wanted a big guy. We knew that. They wanted help on defense. We knew that. They didn't want a quarterback. Not in the first round. I've been telling you that for a while. So yeah, it's safe to say they got their guy, and they got him in a big way. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Derrick Harmon is his name, defensive tackle out of Oregon, the number 21 overall pick in the NFL draft last night. And he would appear to be one of those checks all the boxes kind of guy, including from the fit standpoint. Because if you think about what this defense has needed and now needs more than ever with Larry Ogunjobi no longer around and Cam Hayward due at some point in his life to show some semblance of mortality, you've now got someone who can come in, get the job done right away, but also, and just as important, get the job done for years to come. And just in case there was any doubt about the Steelers' true intentions heading into this first round, listen to this eyebrow-raising response from Tomlin when he was asked about the urgency to fortify that line in light of how it wore down over the course of the 2024 season.
Extreme urgency, to be quite honest with you. There's no substitute for young talent. You don't have a chance to fill a quality defense unless you're stout inside and up front. And this is a young guy, man, that has an opportunity to learn from the likes of Cam Hayward and put his hand in that pile and be a significant contributor for us for years to come.
He'd also say, in regards specifically to the now already infamous Baltimore playoff game, the 299 yards on the ground game, it's on film. Everybody saw it. He didn't say it was the motivation, but he also didn't say that it wasn't part of the motivation. They were going to get this done. Now, I poked and prodded both of them at various points in this press conference to try to find out if there was any other mindset, any other options that were coming their way. And the closest I could come to an answer was in asking Omar Khan if when number 21 came along, if they had any discussion, debate, deliberation even about who they were going to take. He said no, and that in fact they'd known a couple picks earlier who they were going to take. It was just a matter of watching those play out the way the Steelers themselves expected. Now that's going to leave one question open-ended for me, maybe forever, and that's whether they would have preferred to have Kenneth Grant, the other of the two defensive tackles for whom I'd been advocating. Grant went at number 13 overall to the Dolphins, so he obviously wasn't an option. Did they have Harmon higher than Grant? Did they have Grant higher than Harmon? Or did they, like a lot of us, have them as pretty much even? That was my outlook on those two guys. And they ended up getting one of them. Best player available? Well, there are two ways of kind of confirming that this was BPA in their minds. One is what I already mentioned, which is there was no anything when their turn came up. There was, oh, there he is, let's take him. Two was, and Khan and Tomlin had both acknowledged before the draft that they were going to have an approach that said there are certain players that if they made it to them at 21, if they dropped far enough, that they were not going to entertain any trading back. If one of those players that was on this list of theirs was going to make it, they were going to get picked. I like this. Obviously, been pushing for it for weeks now. I like it a lot, and I got the impression that they did too, but I also got the impression when they first came into the room with us that they were way more subdued than the norm. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of wondering what that was all about. And then a few minutes after they're done, they leave the room, and one of the media relations staffers, Micaiah, she brings in this starfish-looking construct that's made for conference calls. You've probably seen these things in like old movies, really outdated. And all of us gather around this thing to ask questions of Harmon himself. And Harmon, he brings this up when asked just, how he felt about getting that call from Tomlin.
It was a little bittersweet, man. My mom wasn't with me. She's at the hospital right now on life support. So that was a little bittersweet, man, because she worked as hard just as me to get to this moment, but it was a once in a lifetime experience. So, like I said, I'm very excited.
Yeah, how about that, huh? Tiffany Sane is his mother's name. The family gathering for this draft was in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Harmon describing himself as being surrounded by his village and his mother's village, and she's on life support in the hospital after having had several brain surgeries. He also, and soon after, said on this conference call that as soon as he was done with us reporter types, that he was going to go to the hospital and see her and tell her that her son had just gotten drafted into the NFL. And he broke down a little bit as he spoke. And as you can imagine, the interview and the questions stopped very soon thereafter. He also had spoken beforehand of what a blessing it is to be drafted by the Steelers, what a blessing it is to be coming to a team where he can learn firsthand from Cam Hayward. And the entire storyline, as sad as it is, speaks to so many of the intangible praise that he received in advance of this draft. Tomlin saying last night his intangible qualities are very attractive. The tangible things are obvious, but we were equally impressed with his intangible quality, his intelligence, his relationship with the game, his natural leadership qualities. He also described Harmon as having Steeler DNA. Yeah, they did okay. They got their guy. When we come back, J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Bill in Arizona, who says, DK, that was the best pick available. Hopefully somebody's going to pick up Shedeur Sanders so Mike Tomlin isn't tempted. What do you think? What I think, Bill, more than anything, in going through some of the comments that were left on our site on DK Pittsburgh Sports and YouTube and other places, was that they must have been talking a lot about Sanders on this broadcast. I have no idea what was brought up. There's no sound. We have a silent monitor that's in this media room that, by the way, was so far behind every other venue of announcing these picks that I don't even know that I bothered to look up, let alone listen to any of it, since, again, you couldn't hear it. But there had to be tons and tons and tons of Sanders, judging by how many of you seem to be bringing it up after the first round. I've been reporting for quite some time now, and over the past week, definitively so, that they weren't going to take a quarterback in the first round. And without doing some sort of complete survey on what everybody reported and when, if anybody who actually covers the Steelers, meaning covers the team, meaning, in the building where they are, and talks to the team executives and talks to the coaches and finds things out, if any of those people reported that the Steelers were going to look at Sanders or were going to take Sanders, I'm unaware of it. And I don't know that I've ever seen the line of demarcation, if you want to call it that, so thick between the people who cover the team and the people who don't cover the team as I have over these past 24 to 48 hours. You just kept seeing, hearing, and reading everywhere. Again, I'm not talking about the broadcast. I just mean wherever else, social media, articles that I read, that the Steelers were looking for a quarterback, that they were that team, and if so-and-so wants to get Sanders, they have to move up ahead of the Steelers at 21. None of this was remotely accurate. And from the reporting standpoint, none of it, meaning like on my part or our part, was remotely commendable. You're just there. You're talking to them. This wasn't some deep dive 60 Minutes style enterprise here, okay? You're just talking to them. But setting the media stuff aside, you guys know how I get all amped up about that. That's actually my, life. I would not rule out at all that the Steelers would take a quarterback from this point onward. I don't think they're going to have an easy time getting back into the second round. Omar Khan had expressed that as a wish of his, but it's going to take quite some capital. And that would leave them on this day 2 of the draft, obviously with just the one pick in the third round. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of contorted on this one because I feel like if you don't get a quarterback in the third round, if you're waiting until the fourth, you're not getting anybody that's going to move the needle for you. You're getting a room filler. You're getting a depth guy. Whereas one position I've been telling you again and again and again and again that they are emphatic about addressing in this draft is running back. And here too, I don't know that I want to hang around, waiting in the fourth round or later for the running back. And you obviously can't take both a quarterback and a running back with just one pick. So it's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be interesting to see, obviously, first and foremost, if Omar can find a way to get back into the second round, if he can do it without depleting himself the way, for example, Jacksonville did in moving up in that trade with Cleveland. That's a high price. Separate discussion for a separate day. But they would like to address both of these positions, quarterback and running back. And today would be the day to do that. We'll see how it goes. If I see enough, up cups or likes or whatever, depending on the platform on which you consume this show, we'll have another one of these, an emergency bonus session of Daily Shot tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for listening to this one.